Hello, I'm Sandy Potter.
I'm Michael L., and welcome to Ageless Living. We're happy to be with you again from our homes as we all continue to stay home and stay safe.
That's right. And for many of us, this situation has been challenging as we're looking to create a new normal in our daily routines. And we're searching for ways to not only cope, but to stay balanced and calm, both mentally and emotionally.
And you recently had the opportunity to talk with Audrey Grove, our Director of Community Services and Social Accountability at Masonicare, and Linda Hartzer, one of our amazing residents, about just that and the benefits of mindfulness.
Yes, it was wonderful. And now we invite you to grab a cup of tea and join us for the virtual discussion. Thank you so much for joining us, Audrey and Linda. We're here with our tea and our coffee for our virtual discussion about mindfulness. And Audrey, why don't we start with you? As a counselor and a facilitator of many of the Masonicare support groups, you know very well the importance of having support during a time like this when many people may be feeling uneasy and alone.
Absolutely. I think that what we have to try to do is think in very creative ways on how we can unseparate ourselves. So during this time when we're physically separated from others, how do we learn to connect? And if we start thinking about that, the things that come to mind for me are, of course, reaching out on the telephone, calling friends, maybe even having a weekly time slot with a friend or two or three for your phone date. I've done that a lot with friends. So knowing that at some point in my day, I have an appointment to talk to so-and-so and we'll be able to connect. Sometimes you can connect if you have a smartphone through FaceTime. This is a really good tool because this way you're actually seeing the person that you're talking to and it feels like you are in fact together. Other ways to think of, even just going for a walk, of course, keeping this physical distance, the guidelines that have been laid out for us, but still going for a walk, looking at nature, very calming. And you could even wave to your neighbors. You can visit from across the street for a hello. Any way that you can physically connect without being right next to them.
And I think that's so important. And Linda, one of the things that can be challenging is to find ways to maintain that positivity and that sense of normalcy in our daily routines. How have you been coping?
Well, I think probably in many of the same ways that my neighbors have and Audrey was mentioning. First of all, I do want to say that I think from a resident point of view, I think we feel very fortunate to be in such a caring place at a time like this. So thank you to both of you and the entire staff. I think that what's been helpful for me is to have some structure to my day. Like there are some things that I do regularly. So I exercise with Karen at 9:15, our virtual exercise class. I try and do that daily. I go for a walk daily. And I meditate daily. I use an app called Headspace. So those are kind of like my regular parts of my day. I also have to say that conversations with Peter, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, are part of the structure. And I will say that's been very reassuring, the fact that you can count on communication from within our community and know that it's predictable every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11, and the other times that you'll get some reliable and specific information that I think has been very helpful. So there's structure. I think the second part is, as you mentioned, Audrey, connection. I actually made a list of all the people that are important in my life. And each day I make sure that I connect with some people on the list and make sure that I can kind of reach out and touch someone. I think I've tried to integrate reflection in my routine at this point, which is kind of my sense of spirituality. I see this time in many ways, but one of them is kind of a time to pause. The pause is kind of questioning, how is this impacting other people, people who are really struggling and suffering and the loss. So I think about that. I think about how is this impacting me, and what is this telling me in my life and my priorities, and how do I kind of grow from that. It's quiet, and I'm trying to see the quiet in some ways that perhaps when I'm busier, I don't have a chance to see. I guess I would also say that this is a time of action for me. I am a type A personality, and so if I don't do something to feel productive, it's uneasy for me. So I started out by asking myself the question, so am I doing enough? And I realized that was a very defeating question, because clearly I never felt like I was doing enough. So then I rephrased it to say, so what can I do for somebody else today? And just do it that way. And then that, I could smile when I'm walking to somebody at somebody. I can write somebody a note. I can send an email. I can send a donation. So I try and incorporate that action to others, and then an action for myself, which is, have I cleaned a drawer or emptied a box that I said I would do when I had the time to do. And I have been thinking to myself, if I can't get this done in a quarantine time, there's no hope for me. So that's kind of how I've been using my time.
Linda, I think a few things that you said really resonated with me. The importance of a routine, a schedule, I think is vital in times like this. And especially if you're living alone, and even if you're not, sticking to the things you normally would do within the confines of your home are really important. And it sets the tone for your whole day. And I think specifically in the morning and in the evening, that comes into play, that it's the most important. It gives you structure to your day when you follow a routine. And
yes.
That's super helpful.
I would just add, relative to that, Audrey, that I have made it a conscious choice not to watch the news first thing in the morning. I'll watch that midday, but I won't watch it in the morning, and I won't watch it before I go to bed at night.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I recommend that to everybody, anybody. Don't watch the news before you go to bed. And if it's upsetting for you first thing in the morning, don't watch it in the morning. I have stopped watching it both of those times as well. One other thing that I wanted to bring up that you touched on, Linda, that really resonated with me, that I wonder if we're thinking about, is using this time as a call to service for ourselves. How can we reach out and help other people?
Absolutely. Such wonderful stuff, and really thought-provoking. And I think a lot of us have found ourselves in this same boat, so to speak, in many ways. And you have me laughing about cleaning out a drawer or doing some household things, because I have a list of the same type of things that is in the back of my head, and I'm trying to hack away at that. It's a little harder with my young children that need full attention, but once in a while when you get a part of a closet cleaned out, you're like, ooh, all right. But such important stuff.
Even if it's just one drawer.
It goes a long way.
Yes.
It does. And, but you talk about how things like watching the news can make you feel a little overwhelmed and what you can do about that. But what are some other techniques that we can all do if we find ourselves feeling that rising sense of feeling like stress, overwhelmed? Because no matter what situation we're in, no matter if it's this or something else in our daily lives, we all have those moments of feeling that rise of tension, that rise of stress. What are some techniques that you would recommend?
Well, one thing that I really had wanted to mention before, but I'll bring up now, is a service that we have here at Masonicare called Calls for Hope. And this is where you can call into our 800 number, and you can specifically choose if you want to speak to a counselor or if you want to speak to a spiritual counselor on anything. If you just want to talk to someone, you can make an appointment and they will call you over the phone at a designated time, which is a really nice thing. But the other thing to think about is meditation, mindfulness. We have started a mindfulness practice at Masonicare at Ashlar Village, practicing together, which is wonderful. And Linda has been a part of that as well.
Right. I know that you both were instrumental in that. You've both enjoyed participating in it. And Linda, what did you find were the benefits to you personally from practicing mindfulness?
I think that I find it a very comforting practice. It's grounding, it's calming, it's guided. So in the mindfulness session, someone is guiding the process. And it's a quiet way of connecting with each other. You're not necessarily talking to one another, but you're sharing something together, a quiet moment. I kind of see it as, in some ways, a mental relaxation. It's the opportunity to get outside of my head. I, so often will just replay those tapes of, did you get this done? The shoulds. You could do this better. And I think the mindfulness practice is an opportunity to refocus on being in the moment, on now, instead of trying to get way ahead of yourself or replaying things that you can't do anything about. And I think that's part of what's helpful to me, is that it helps keep me in touch with the bigger picture, that connecting with where I am in the moment and seeing it makes more sense to me. Life is more doable that way.
Right. And that's really what the idea is all about, right, Audrey? And maybe you can walk us through a brief mindfulness exercise.
Oh, sure. Be happy to. Before we do that, though, I think it's important to note the difference between mindfulness and meditation, because I think people often get confused about that. And mindfulness is the awareness of something. That something typically is the present, or feelings, thoughts, etc. But meditation is more the awareness of nothing. So in mindfulness, we're aware and we're noticing and paying attention to thoughts, to feelings, to behavior, to everything around us. In mindfulness, in meditation, we're taking a deeper dive way inside to stillness and sort of nothingness. So let's do a little mindfulness exercise with our breath. So we can start by just settling into our chair, sitting up nice and tall, pressing your back into the part that it meets onto the chair so that you feel secure, bringing your feet down onto the floor. Just let your hands relax in your thighs. And from here, we'll just close our eyes and we'll just bring the focus inward a little bit so that we can only think about the words that we're hearing now. So we're going to concentrate on our breath. And we're going to inhale slowly, hold for a moment, and then exhale slowly. So let's do some cycles of breath together. Inhaling slowly through the nose, hold, exhaling slowly through the nose. I'd like you to take this breath at your own pace, noticing how it feels as the breath slowly moves through you. Do you feel your chest rise? Do Do you feel the warmth of the air in your nose, in your mouth, in your chest? See if you can relax the muscles in your face as you continue breathing. Thoughts will try to come into your mind and interrupt the breathing or the focusing on the present, and that's okay. You can acknowledge those thoughts, and with a soft breath, let them go. And then slowly bring your awareness right back into the chair, into this room, and slowly open your eyes. Soft focus outward. Take one more deep breath in and slowly exhale.
I think that's tremendous. Thank you, Audrey. It's very grounding, very calming. Brings you right to the present moment. And that's something that we can all use in our daily lives when we find ourselves in a moment where we just need to come back to being present.
There's a really nice little quote that I wanted to share about mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness and meditation are mirror-like reflections of each other. Mindfulness supports and enriches meditation, while meditation nurtures and expands mindfulness.
Beautiful. Well, I can't thank you both enough so much for joining us today and for everything and all the information on this important topic, especially during a time like this. I know it's going to be really useful to a lot of people. So
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
it's great to see you.
Bye.
you too.
And now, let's take a look at what's happening around Masonicare. Join Masonicare in supporting our community healthcare heroes by displaying a heart on your door or window. You can even download your own version to color and sign. Visit Masonicare.org/hearts to download the PDF file, print, and display. We've compiled a list of fun virtual activities that are sure to delight your mind, body, and spirit while at home. You can find them all by going to Masonicare.org/activities. Help us spread the love at Masonicare Health Center by sharing your hearts. Design a heart any way you'd like, and when you're done, take a picture of it and email it to Rebecca Siak at rsiok@masonicare.org, who will post it on the first floor of the health center.
Thanks so much for joining us for another virtual edition of Ageless Living.
We look forward to bringing you more stories about living well as we take this journey together.
And until next time, stay well and remember, be ageless. Bye.